This program may contain material that is not suitable for all audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Welcome to Straight Talk with DC Hannah, coming to you live from the Corona apocalypse. We're now 60 days after St. Patrick's Day was shut down to protect us all from the Rona. We're now roughly, 45 days since the mandatory lockdown, where all businesses except those deemed essential were shut down. Officially, publicly. We talked about that last week. And Kansas is now in what the governor is calling stage 1.5 of the recovery plan. Now, first of all, this is a recovery caused by the government. The virus didn't make this happen. This is the government's plan, its response. In fact, it's the governor's plan and response to the virus threat. The only thing the government can do, force people to close their businesses and encourage them to stay home. They really don't have the power to catch us all and punish us. But 45 days of essential business, as broadly defined as it is, go to the grocery store, it's essential. And you know my position on this, and that is all business, all jobs, and all people are essential. And it's not the government's job to dictate what is and is not. That's not written into the Constitution. And the idea of essential business is a failed social experiment. The best thing that came out of this was the development of speakeasy culture. How to operate your business on the sly when the government doesn't know it, or when they turn a blind eye, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, as in, I'm shocked that there's gambling going on here. I'm shocked that there's haircutting going on. Well, I'm pleased to announce that in this last week, I've spoken to several friends who are small business people, and some of them have had the ability to reopen legally, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Others of them are still living the bootleg life. I won't say who, but you're watching, you know, and I'm damn proud of you. But a lot of folks are still locked down at home. Their jobs haven't come back yet, if they come back at all. They're afraid. They're not even going to church because they have been conditioned now with phrases like, stay home, stay safe. We're all in this together. Conditioned to live in fear. This is perhaps the most effective mass conditioning program in the history of mankind. You know, it took 5 years for Adolf Hitler to properly condition the German people to accept the Nazi Party as the ruling government party, 1928 to 1933. Here in the United States, it happened in 2 months. Now, if your goal is to condition a bunch of people to be fearful and mistrustful of each other, this is your exemplar. This is the best example. No longer will you say, well, the Nazis, That's right, the Nazis convinced good German people to turn bad. Yeah, 5 years. After a decade of starvation, a decade of the Weimar Republic. And right here in the land of the free and the home of the brave, it happened in 2 months. Well, this is just the culmination. This is the culmination of years and years and years of deliberate conditioning by schools, by the government, by churches, and by media to teach young people and old people, our vulnerable people, how to blindly duck your head and accept that the government is your Lord and Master. Is that the new American dream? For a lot of us, it's not. For a lot of us, the American dream is still that there is opportunity. There's the ability to make your way, to be successful on your merits, to overcome adversity, and to succeed, and to pass that on to your children. But an entire generation, as I said, the Affordable Care Act, putting children, and I use the word children loosely, on their parents' health insurance till they're 26. What does that do? It infantilizes 21 to 26-year-olds. Well, you're not mature enough to have your own insurance. We'll make you a kid, dependent on the government, because the government forced your parents' health insurance carrier to put you on. Well, I could rant like this for hours, and my friends know I often do, which is why I have fewer and fewer friends all the time. But I've got to broaden my mind a little bit here during the Rona apocalypse. Now, I could take up learning how to sew leather bikinis because I figure there's going to be a market for that very soon. That's right, the Mad Max Utopia. Or I could learn a more interesting skill, something that inspires, something that makes people laugh. Ventriloquy. Okay, hope you haven't tuned out at this point. Hoping you haven't hit stop, you haven't hit that back button. Just hear me out. For 150 years, more or less, ventriloquy was entertaining, more or less. Now, there's always been a creepy factor to ventriloquy. Charlie McCarthy, Edgar Bergen's doll, Charlie McCarthy, he was a creepy little sumbitch. There have been movies made about creepy talking dolls. The Devil Doll, if you've never seen it, look it up, it's on YouTube. Chucky, the Chucky doll series. They're creepy. They're creepy because they're humanoid. But yet we recognize that they are amoral. Amoral, not immoral, but amoral, without morality. They have no souls, yet they're animated. A little bit of that Frankenstein monster thing going on. But ventriloquy is also, it can be funny in the right hands. Now, I'll admit, it can be damn creepy. Like I said, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. Jeff Dunham, I kill you. Somewhere between funny and creepy. There was a big wave of ventriloquism in the 1980s, and it was a part of Christian ministry. And that was damn creepy. Again, go to YouTube, look up Christian ventriloquy. You'll be down a rabbit hole, and you'll blame me for it. And you know what? I'll take that one. How's that? But ventriloquy also has the promise to be funny and entertaining. So I figure, now that the Rona apocalypse is here, I don't have any ventriloquy skill, but I don't have to develop it. All I have to do is to put on a mask. Because ventriloquist, you can't see his mouth, you can't see his lips move, right? There we go. Ventriloquy. The Corona ventriloquist. That may be my new passion in life. I know you're not supposed to touch your face, but I can't get the goddamn thing to fit. It keeps pulling down on my ears. There we go. Ventriloquy in the Corona apocalypse. I'm halfway there. I can talk. I can do funny voices. After all, once you cover up the mouth, all ventriloquy is a guy who knows how to do funny voices. Now I need a doll, and a doll with a personality. Now, we typically call the ventriloquist's partner the dummy. But I learned, thanks to my research, that the ventriloquist's dummy is properly called a doll. Maybe they're too sensitive to be known as a dummy. Well, I happen to have a partner. And I happen to have a mask that keeps falling off. I happen to have a partner. And I'd like to introduce you to the first Corona ventriloquist partner, Karen. This is Karen. Now, those of you who know about Karens know that Karen is, whoop, did Karen lose her mask? Holy crap. Karen's in trouble. Anyway, that Karens are that subset of society that used to always want to speak to the manager. But now, Karens are the ones who will, I'm not trying to choke you, baby. Not unless you ask me to. Yes, there is a weird sexual subtext to male-female ventriloquy. We won't go there today. Karens, they now are the ones who call the snitch line. They're now the ones who chase you around the store because you're not wearing your mask. They are the ones who write letters to the editor, who spam every Facebook post. And they do it with some very predictable statements. Stay home, stay safe. We're all in this together. And you just want to get a haircut. If you're on Facebook, you've seen all of those. Your opinion about that, we'll talk about that sometime. But for now, here's Karen. Now, Karen lacks the Karen haircut. That's because this particular Karen is on loan from Miss Jane. And Miss Jane did not want me to put hair on her Karen or to use a Sharpie to draw one on. So it's reasonable that we didn't. So our ventriloquist act, the Corona ventriloquist, Doc, and Karen for your enjoyment. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? So I grab Karen back here, insert, Karen, how are you? Karen doesn't feel very talkative today. You can tell I am the first Corona ventriloquist, I'm also the worst Corona ventriloquist. And I'm okay with that because right now I got the market cornered. Karen, do you have anything to say for the fine people? Stay home, stay safe. Why did I know you were going to say that? Stay home, stay safe. Social distance. Yeah, but you're sitting on my lap. Hello? Hotline? I'd like to report a social distance violation. Yeah, this whole Corona thing, yeah. Aside from being, a chance to use a funny voice, suddenly it's not funny anymore. Karen, there you go. Oh, but Big Karen is watching you. Big Karen is watching you. Karen is the embodiment of every Gladys Kravitz, every nosy Nate, every person who gets their joy in life from seeing what other people do and then reporting it and disapproving of it and commenting on it because it dares to be different. It's the people who've convinced themselves that this is a terrible threat to the whole population. And the only way to be safe is to put a bandana on your face. Because 3 layers of fabric could save your life. But you know what? It's not about your life, is it? No. It's the virtue signal. You have to wear the mask, take the mark of the beast, so that you don't spread your evil Rona cooties on everybody else. Because guess what? Somebody believes that you could be asymptomatic and walk around and infect everybody. And so everybody can infect everybody. So if one guy's not wearing a cloth mask, everybody's going to die. Now, the logic of that's a little weak. If the mask protects you, whether I wear a mask or not is immaterial. If the mask doesn't protect you, you don't have to wear it. The mask is not about protection from the COVID-19 virus. Viruses are very small. And when they're suspended in breath, not in droplets, but in breath, they make a cloud. If it was such a threat, we would need to wear proper respiratory protection, not a fabric or a paper mask. The mask is the virtue signal. And the lack of mask is now the scarlet letter. It's a scarlet R for Rona. You're the nonconformist if you don't wear a mask. I'm cool with that. I know I get chased around the Walmart by coronapotamuses. In a way, it's kind of fun, you know. It is kind of nice to be chased. But it's probably not so nice to be caught. I'm guessing that if a coronapotamus ever catches me on one of those carts, they're just going to run me over. So I'm going to have to be careful. Big Karen is watching you. If you ever read the book 1984 by George Orwell, Big Brother is watching you was the phrase everybody uttered. The state put up big signs, Big Brother is watching you, reminding you that anything you do was subject to government surveillance. And informers were everywhere. Well, guess what? In 2020, everything is under government surveillance. And informants are everywhere. But it's not Big Brother who's watching you. Now it's Big Karen. Does that make you feel good? Do you feel good about the idea that you're being watched? Well, if you associate being watched with being protected, yeah, you're going to feel great about it. Oh, I feel so much safer. But that's not the way history works. That's not the lessons we've learned from our history. The more surveillance, the less privacy people have, their lives don't get better. The state gets more powerful, people get less powerful. They become more subordinate to the state. And some people like that. I'm not one of them. So, my Big Karen here, Big Karen is watching you. It might be fun to be the first corona ventriloquist. Now, in order to improve my ventriloquy skills, I started researching the history of ventriloquy, and it is pretty damn creepy. The Christian ventriloquist, as I said, but there's a fella down in San Antonio, and he's been a ventriloquist since the 1970s, and his name is Oscar Zamora. And Oscar's ventriloquy doll is called Don Chema. And he is an X-rated, Spanish-speaking Mexican ventriloquist from San Antonio. Now that sounds pretty damn interesting, doesn't it? If you speak Spanish, look up Oscar Zamora on YouTube, and some of his videos are on there. Yeah, you'll look at ventriloquy in a whole new light. Well, Oscar and Don Chema used to do party albums. Now, if you're not familiar with party albums, starting in the 1960s and running through the early 1980s, comedians would record bits. They would record segments, they'd record entire albums of comedy and then release them. They might have a release every 6 months or every year. And party albums were designed to be played at cocktail parties. A cocktail party, you'd go and you'd have drinks and somebody would put on a record and you'd have some comedian on. But it was guys like Red Fox, guys like Cheech and Chong. They were like kings of party albums. Their party albums really don't stand the test of time, as I mentioned last week. Other comedians like the Dolomite, look him up by the way, Steve Martin, George Carlin. Now George Carlin, he is a funny sumbitch and he was insightful. But you also find Bill Cosby. Now, for those of you who don't know, Bill Cosby used to be a comedian and not just a guy who gave women roofies and raped them. Yeah, he used to be a comedian too. He was also a guy who gave women roofies and raped them, but his albums were funny. They were funny in a 1960s kind of innocent, but yet a little bit hip kind of way. And another comedian was Oscar Zamora. Oscar Zamora had 16 or 17 X-rated party albums, all in Spanish. Ventriloquy on a party album is much like Corona ventriloquy. You don't have to be able to, talk without your lips moving. All you got to do is make a funny voice, because it's an album, it's a record, pressed vinyl, that retro thing. Nobody sees it. So if you're listening to a ventriloquist on a party album, really what you're doing is just a guy, you're listening to a guy talking to himself with a funny voice. Oscar Zamora, he moved a little more towards the mainstream a little later. He's now like 120 years old, still talking to his friend, Don Chema. Made an appearance at SeaWorld. It's on video. I don't speak enough rapid-fire Texican Spanish to know exactly what he was talking about, but I'm guessing that a SeaWorld appearance by Oscar Zamora and Don Chema was not the X-rated party album material that you might think that he's usually known for. And once you take out all the dirty stuff, is there anything really worth watching? No, because what you now have is a late middle-aged Mexican guy talking to his own hand with a big Zapata mustache on the front. Maybe I won't do the ventriloquist thing after all, because I'm starting to creep myself out. Well, we're going to have plenty of time for me to figure out my new post-apocalyptic hobby, because it ain't going to be over for a while. Maybe, I don't know. I'll take up a musical instrument. I'll learn a new language. But whatever I do, I'll share it with you. Because if I got to suffer through it, by God, so do you.
You're listening to Straight Talk with DC Hannah. Talk radio that's strong enough for a man, but I like it too.
Sometimes you just need a good cigar. And fortunately, I get to enjoy one. I get to enjoy one almost every day. But today, I am enjoying an Arturo Fuente Double Chateau with a natural wrapper. This is a classic cigar. It's one that I enjoy for something light, something creamy with a touch of peanut note to it. It's a fantastic combination. And it's especially good if I am drinking a little orange juice, no vodka, I promise, wink wink, and enjoying the afternoon. Day that looks like it might rain out here in Overland Park, Kansas, but I am enjoying the cigar for as long as I can. Arturo Fuente is one of the classic names in the cigar industry. Fantastic line of cigars, and this Double Chateau is especially good. As I said, it's a smooth smoker, creamy quality to the smoke. A nice, they call it natural. This is actually a shade wrapper grown in the Dominican Republic. Fine smoke indeed. And just the kind of thing to relax, put my feet up and think about life.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the belief I have. Is that not funny?
I'm out here among friends today at Outlaw Cigar, enjoying myself.
Peace.
Saying hello to people. Smoking cigars and drinking my drink that definitely has no vodka in it. There's a lot going on. There's an awful lot going on for a lockdown, for a quarantine. There's traffic everywhere because people don't pay attention to that kind of crap. And I love that. I absolutely love it. Now, we're going to get a lot of pushback from the Karens. We expect it to be so. We have spies, we have snitches, we have little brown shirts, and we have people who are trying to teach their kids to be spies and snitches. Perhaps the Hitler Youth of the 21st century. So, let's fight that, my friends. Let's fight that with good humor. Let's fight that with active lifestyle. Let's fight that with everything we have Because in the end, they can't keep us all in. Right? Right. Try as they might. But they are trying to change our culture. As I mentioned a little bit ago, Karens, the whole idea of snitch culture, the code words we're teaching our kids. What kids aren't being taught in this time is freedom. Children today in Missouri are going to have to wear a mask to go to daycare. At an age when children 4 and up, they're being conditioned to wear a mask, to hide, to be afraid, not to touch or play with each other, without a thought to the long-term effects on kids' psyche. That's why it's important for you and for me to do everything we can to raise kids to be adventurous, to play in the dirt, to hug and kiss each other, and not to worry. Because you and I know nobody gets out alive. And it's what you do along the way that counts. What will you teach your kids? Will you teach them to hide and be afraid? Or will you teach them to fully embrace life and all that it has to offer? The decision is yours, my friends. The decision is yours. Damn, this is good. You know, maybe next week I'll pick a bad cigar, one I know is bad, so you can watch me review a bad cigar for you. But not today. No, this is a fine one. Arturo Fuente Double Chateau with a natural wrapper. Mighty, mighty fine. Well, let me enjoy another taste here of my orange juice that definitely has no vodka in it. Take a little time to savor this smoke and to leave you with this thought. I really, really appreciate you. If I have not told you that personally, consider this my thanks. Find someone you care about. Let them know why. Let them know what you care about them for. Let them know how important they are to you. Don't let that moment go by, because it may be the last chance you have. Not because of the Rona, but just because of life. Again, thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Give me a like over on Facebook. Both of them, Straight Talk with DC Hannah. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. For my family and my friends, I love you. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye now.